everybody. My mind was absolutely blown away by this new episode of Game of Thrones. Let's talk about episode 5 of season 6, The Door. At the beginning of this episode, we see Sansa receive a letter from Littlefinger to meet him in Molestown. He wants to speak with her. So she goes over there with Brienne to meet with him, and he has all these excuses, and she just lays into him. I mean, she lays into him over what he put her through. I can't remember the exact words, but she had a really great line that I really liked. She said something along the lines of, "You took me from the monsters that killed my family and handed me over to some other monsters that killed my family." It was like a punch in the face when she said this to him, especially when she makes him really figure out what was done to her by Ramsay. He doesn't want to say it, but she makes him say it. He doesn't even put together everything that was done to her, but she says she still feels the pain of what was done to her by Ramsay. And basically after that, she tells him to get lost. She wishes he was dead and she doesn't want to see him again. Something that she did get out of this meeting, though, that is really helpful. She got out the information that her uncle, the Blackfish, has regained control of Riverrun, and now she has some information that is really going to help them in the long run. If it is accurate, you can't trust Littlefinger. You can't trust him. Any information he could give you could be false. So I kind of think that's why Sansa held back on telling Jon in the strategy meeting that she got that information from Littlefinger. Basically, in the meeting, they're trying to figure out who's loyal to the Starks, and they figure out that they're just going to have to go and visit all of the northern houses that aren't already pledged to Ramsay and try and talk them over to their side and hope that they'll agree. Now, while the whole group is off to visit all these houses, Brienne is going down another path. Sansa is sending her to Riverrun to go find her uncle and ask for his help. So hopefully he will agree, and hopefully this information is not false. Now, let's head on over to Iron Islands and Pike and talk about the King's Moot. Whoa. I thoroughly enjoyed this entire scene. Yara stakes claim to the Salt Throne, and when she does, they are not having it. Theon then steps up and supports her claim and renounces any claim he would have had, and things are looking good. Everyone's chanting Yara, and they're totally down. And then Euron shows up. Euron Greyjoy, their uncle, comes along and prancing around, spouting all these promises and such, and yeah. It is not good for Yara and Theon. He wins. He is voted as the new leader. And yeah, they are left having to flee because he wants to kill them. One thing that I found very interesting about their uncle Euron, he wants to sail across the narrow sea with a bunch of ships supporting Daenerys, asking for her hand in marriage. He wants to be the king. You know, he wants to be the king and he wants to kind of rule her, it seems. Yeah, dude, no. You're gonna get roasted. You are totally gonna get roasted the minute it's not gonna happen. If this were to happen, I would just lose it. No, Daenerys does not need to get with this dude. Just no. No. So when Euron figures out that Yara and Theon have left and they have taken a whole fleet of ships with them, oh, it's bad. It's bad. He is going to be hunting them down, and I hope he doesn't catch them. I hope he doesn't catch them. I was really rooting for Yara, and I'm pretty bummed out that she didn't get voted, but I'm really interested to see what Euron does. It's gonna be bad. It's probably gonna be worse than all that Balon Greyjoy did. I have a really bad feeling about this. Another thing that kind of blew my mind in the King's Moot was when Euron freely admitted to killing his brother, and the men just didn't really seem to care. So, yeah. Okay, speaking of Daenerys, let's head across the Narrow Sea and talk about what went down over there, because there were a couple of really amazing scenes that, oh, just the feels in this episode. The feels in this episode were very real. We see a scene with Daenerys, Daario, and Jorah. Daenerys is trying to decide what to do about Ser Jorah because every time she sends him away, he comes back. And she seems like she's about to come around, and then he says, no, I have to leave. And he shows her his arm in the grayscale spread, and oh, wow. Just It's an amazing scene. He even confesses his love to Daenerys, and she starts to get teary-eyed, and I start to get teary-eyed, and it is just one of those scenes that really gets to you. If it doesn't get to you, then you don't have a heart. It's sad. She then reminds him of his vow to follow her and answer to her, and she demands that he find a cure and return to her. I really hope he finds a cure soon and that he comes back, because I love his character and I don't want to see him off the show. I enjoy all of the scenes he's in, and he needs to stay on this show. But of course, it's Game of Thrones and they kill people all the time, as is evidenced by this episode. I'm going to get to that. I'm saving that for last. Now, in Meereen, Tyrion, Varys, Missandei, and Grey Worm are trying to figure out how to get the people to fully trust them. So they decide to get someone that the people already trust to join their team and help them in convincing the people to keep the peace. And this is when we are introduced to Kinvara, the High Priestess of the Red Temple of Volantis. She is chosen to help them in all of this, and she then tells them that Daenerys is the one that was promised. So I find this very, very awesome. We now have two priestesses who serve the Lord of Light, and they are both supporting completely different sides, but if we are all correct and it is R plus L equals J, hopefully it will all come together and they will realize that Daenerys and Jon need to work together, and also that they're family and all these things. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that is where my thoughts went. That is exactly where my thoughts went throughout this entire scene. One moment that really just made my jaw drop in this scene between Kinvara, Tyrion, and Varys was when Kinvara got into Varys' head. I mean, she knew what happened to him when he became a eunuch as a boy, and she just... There are very few people in Westeros that fully understand Varys, and Kinvara does. So she now has a weapon against him. I really fully believe that, and he is now even more wary of her than ever. So yeah, Varys, be careful. That's all I gotta say. Alright, so let's move on to the House of Black and White with Arya and her training. We see Arya training with the Waif, and the Waif then tells Arya that she will never be one of them. And Jaqen then kind of agrees. So he then gives Arya a second chance to make a kill. The person that Arya is chosen to kill is not a bad person. She's an actress, and Arya has to do this if she wants to become a faceless woman. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the scene plays out. I hope they show it. They better show it. Arya's chosen to kill this actress, Lady Grain, by poisoning her rum, and she is not going to have the aid of another face. She's going to have to do it with her own face, and it's going to be very nerve-wracking to watch. Okay. So let's talk about everything that happened in this episode north of the Wall, in the cave and the Great Weirwood Tree, and the huge revelation behind Hodor and why he is the way he is. Now, when we first see Bran in this episode, we see him with the three-eyed raven, he's green-seeing with him, and we see the beginning of the White Walkers. We see the children of the forest creating the first White Walker. And they created them to fight men because they wanted to be protected from men and the way they were destroying the world. Now, when this was revealed in the episode, I thought this was going to be the big revelation of this episode, and I was still left wondering about the title of this episode. Well, I'm going to get to that in just a second. After Bran figures all of this out, he doesn't know what to think. He doesn't know what to do, but he can't believe what he just saw. And I kind of think that's why Bran decided to go in Green Sea without the three-eyed raven, to see if he could find out a little more. Well, when he green sees, he doesn't see what he wants to see. He sees the White Walker army and the Night's King, and just no, Bran, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Because the Night King then sees Bran, grabs his arm, and Bran wakes up with a mark from the Night's King. Oops, Bran, what'd you do? You just screwed all of you. You do realize this, right? He didn't realize this. He did not realize how screwed he was until the three-eyed raven told him how screwed he was. He told Bran at this moment that because the Night's King has touched him, has marked him, he can now find all of them, and they are no longer safe. Bran then has to be uploaded with all the information the three-eyed raven has gathered over the years in time before the Night's King and his army of the dead arrive. And yeah, it's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. The army of the dead, they arrive very quickly. Meera is freaking out at this moment, and the children of the forest try and hold them off for as long as they can, and they get in there pretty quickly. After that, it is just madness. We see Bran completely unaware of what's going on because he's being given all this information by the Three-Eyed Raven, and we see him back in Winterfell in that old vision with Ned, Lyanna, Hodor, and all of them, and I'm left wondering, why are we at this point right now? Why are we right here? What is going on? What is happening? Well, Meera then runs back into the room, is trying to get Bran to wake up, tells Bran he needs to warg into Hodor. Bran wargs into Hodor while he's still green-seeing with the Three-Eyed Raven. Hodor then fights off some White Walkers, grabs Bran, starts dragging him away, and Meera then kills a White Walker with some dragon glass, but Summer is killed in the process. What the hell? What the hell? We just lost Shaggy Dog and now Summer. And so there are now 2 Stark direwolves still alive, and I am just so scared. I am so scared at this point. Anyways, as they are trying to escape, Leaf, one of the last children of the forest, decides to give up her life in order to protect them and help them get away. And it seems to be a really awesome effort. And at this point, I'm thinking, yes, they're going to get away scot-free. No, they're not. They're totally not, because this is Game of Thrones. They get through this door to the cave. I'm like, okay, it's called the door. That's why it's called the door. No. That's not exactly why it's called the door. It's because as they get through the door and Hodor pushes the door shut, Meera then yells back at Hodor to hold the door. And it is at this moment that I'm like, wait, whoa, no. We then see Bran back in his vision with the Three-Eyed Raven spot Hodor, and the Three-Eyed Raven tells him to do as his friend says. And then the Three-Eyed Raven is killed by the Night's King because, yeah, that happened. But that's not all. That's not all. Because at this moment, Willis, aka Hodor, actually sees Bran. And we are then left with this chilling revelation that Bran, by warging into Hodor, broke his mind. That is why Hodor is Hodor. He heard Meera yelling at him, hold the door, while Bran was warging into his younger self, and it just completely broke his mind. He dropped to the ground, started screaming, hold the door, hold the door. He keeps saying over and over and over again. And you know how you say something over and over and over again and it creates another word? Well, as his mind became more and more broken, what he was saying turned from hold the door to Hodor. And as if that wasn't bad enough, Hodor is left holding the door and is killed by the White Walkers, and not okay. Totally not okay. I did not like that scene. It broke my heart, and I still can't believe that happened, and that is the reason for his name and everything. I honestly thought something happened to Hodor when he was very young that just traumatized him and broke his mind, but this is even worse. This is really bad, and Bran is going to carry that blame. He's going to blame himself. He is definitely going to blame himself. And one thing that was left with me at the end of this episode was, if they don't tear him completely to pieces, they're going to have Hodor as a White Walker. And I do not want to see Hodor as a White Walker. Please don't have Hodor as a White Walker. I don't want to see him as a White Walker. Please no. I had a lot of trouble processing my thoughts after this episode, and I'm still having trouble processing them. I'm probably going to discover more and more things about this episode as I watch it again. But all in all, it seems like we've gotten into kill time on Game of Thrones, and I think we're going to see several more deaths that are going to break our hearts. So far, we've lost Shaggy Dog, we have lost Summer, we have lost Hodor and now the Three-Eyed Raven. I don't know who's next, but I hope it's not Rickon Stark. Please don't kill another Stark. We've already lost 2 direwolves this season. Let's not lose another Stark. Yeah, no. And let's not have Euron Greyjoy marry Daenerys. Because no. Also, I think it's time you confirm R plus L equals J. We deserve that after this episode. We deserve that. If you enjoyed this, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.